Honorable members, the next speaker is the Honorable Mkhwebane, and it's a maiden speech.
Thank you, Chairperson CIC Malema, Chief Whip of the EFF, Chairperson of the EFF. We take this opportunity to reiterate the condemnation of the genocidal violence that is being meted out by apartheid Israel over the people of Palestine. The people of South Africa, the continent, African continent, to the world must know that the warmongering colonial settler apartheid state that is waging the war in Palestine is not the biblical state of Israel, but a group of bloodthirsty, racist, and colonial invaders who are supported by the imperialist West, particularly the US, the UK, the Western Europe. Now coming back to the statement by the Minister of Electricity on how load shedding will be reduced. It is not the first time that the political leaders from the ruling party have made commitments about load shedding, and there is still no believability and credibility in their statements. And it is not the first
Honorable
time
Mkhwebane,
in more than one.
Honorable Mkhwebane, please take your seat. Honorable members, I indicated that this is a maiden speech. And the gestures that you are showing there are not the gestures that we have in our rules. We don't have such. Honorable members, please. This house is too small for you to make such noise. Proceed, Honorable Mkhwebane.
In more than one occasion over the last 5 years, the president of the ANC has assured the people of South Africa that load shedding will be things of the past and things just got worse. At the beginning of this year, the Secretary General of the ruling party said load shedding will end before December 2023, and there are no scientific and engineering demonstrations and evidence and signs that load shedding will end under this government. Despite the many assurances given by this minister, who oddly does not have a dedicated committee to report to here in Parliament, load shedding will remain and will get worse as long as the ANC is still in power. The EFF's roadmap to electricity dependability articulated by the CIC Julius Malema and Deputy President Floyd Shivambu are the only solutions that will end load shedding in South Africa. It is illusionary for anyone to think that and believe that you can end load shedding without securing base load electricity generation and supply, which in this instance is coal, nuclear, hydroelectricity, and conversion of gas into electricity. At the center of South Africa's electricity problem and crisis are the independent power producers who are imposed in our country by the imperialist West and forced into Eskom without any rational and sensible basis. We have to expose the hypocrisy of the West, who instruct us to close down our coal power stations when millions of tons of coal are leaving South Africa every day to go build and bolster Western and Eastern economic giants, creating ghost towns, perpetuating unemployment and poverty. We accept that electricity generation must not destroy the environment, but we cannot close down electricity generation without viable and concept-proven sources of electricity. Electricity that is harvested from the sun and wind is inherently and therefore not reliable. It can be used as off-grid solution, not as a long-term electricity solution for South Africa. That is why the proposal and submission of the EFF that a specialized conditional grant to assist municipalities off-grid solution must be given due consideration. The efforts of the EFF in Ekurhuleni in sourcing base load electricity on what can illuminate into BOT build operator transfer contracts is the best model that must be replicated the whole of South Africa. Eskom must, as a matter of agency, seek to extend Quebec nuclear power license for an additional 20 years and must consider a BOT model for additional nuclear energy, which remain the cheapest for electricity in South Africa. South Africa must accept that in the foreseeable future, there is no electricity solution that can exclude coal as a source of energy. If anything, we should invest in coal clean technologies. We as the EFF will, during the course of November 2023, finalize the action plan on what are we going to do when we take over government from May 2024 onwards. We are aware that as part of the ruling party's election strategy for 2024, they will go around making empty promises and commitments on things they know they cannot deliver. The people of South Africa must know that it is not only the EFF working within the best interest of the country. We have Black professionals in the energy sector who will end load shedding in South Africa. The rest of the political parties are just talking and electioneering. People are suffering, people are losing work, employment is high, businesses are destroyed because of this issue of electricity. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you.
Yeah, House Chair, you can reintroduce the speaker.
Honorable. Thank you. We may proceed. Honorable members on the virtual platform, I'm making this request for you to visit your gadget wherever you are and switch it off, mute it, please. You are disturbing the proceedings in the house.
Especially Hope.
Just
Hope.
a reintroduction.
Honorable Ngola, please don't do that. You repeat that, you will be out of the platform. Honorable Sangwa.
Thank you very much, Honorable House Chairperson. I think at the outset, Minister, whilst none of us doubt your bona fides and your commitment to the work at hand and the responsibilities before you, you seem to have been given a poison chalice. You are a minister for all intents and purposes without a portfolio, departmentless, entityless, just a minister in the presidency. Cannot reign over any of the policy matters to the extent to which would be desirable for what you want to do. Now, that poses a problem, given the complexities around Eskom, not just to its own ability to generate electricity as it should, but you've got law enforcement challenges as well. The cabals that are involved, if you're looking at what happens in coal trucking and the diesel space, that is a problem. If you look at the consequence management challenges which prevail at Eskom, you've got no jurisdiction over that as well. You are stuck between the rock and the hard place, Minister Kodan and Minister Mantashe. These problems, Minister, will really stall any of your endeavors. I'm glad Minister Chris is in the house today. We should need to have conversations with her about flexibility in the environmental laws perspectives to ensure that we are able to arrive where we want to arrive. So the question then becomes, Minister, what is it that is your function other than the weekly press briefings, which I suppose are important for the dissemination of information, and then of course you visiting these power stations? I don't think any justice has been done for yourself in order for you to actually go the whole 9 yards. And that is the conversation we should be having. Because ordinarily, the interventions of the tax breaks that have been introduced, the more people get off grid, the less demand there is obviously for Eskom, and therefore a load shedding is bound to, reduce. But at the same time, there is a heightened level of difficulty for businesses and households, particularly those who are poor. The previously disadvantaged of our communities find themselves having to bear the brutal brunt of the economic hardships that arise out of load shedding. That being said, then it means that the interventions which are currently in place of the solar panels and the tax breaks are for the rich. We continue to widen the inequality gap in a society that is already struggling. It therefore begs the question as to whether this is a sustainable intervention or we are going to end up seeing more of the same, having been down this road since 2008. The facts speak for themselves. Eskom is in trouble. Eskom is operating on the basis of bailouts. There is policy uncertainty, leadership uncertainty, leadership interference going on at Eskom. The CEO left, the CEO has been unable to be, vacancy has not been filled. The chairperson of the board has resigned. The operations of Eskom, amongst others, are dependent on the functionality of other SOEs such as Transnet. There's problems in that space as well. So, Minister, as you present your plans as noble as they are and you seek to build up hope in South Africans, I would really implore on you to implore on the president, and maybe we can assist you here. He needs to give you a better deal than just making you a public spokesperson who's got no powers functions
Thank you.
to the extent to which is required for the predicament at hand. I thank you.
Thank you. Agbare lid Wessels.
Thank you, Honourable House Chairperson. House Chairperson, in Afrikaans, we will call the Minister a beeldpoetser, because that is what he is. He is trying to actually create something that there isn't and trying to mitigate the crisis that is out there. What is always astounding, House Chairperson, is how exciting or excited the ruling party gets about little progress, or call it success, made in addressing a crisis created by themselves. You can't be excited about it. You created this crisis. The minister is correct. Eskom is in a dark, dark hole. But who dug the hole? And I'll tell you why it's important to identify the origin of the problem. South Africans have suffered a cumulative 64 days of blackouts during 2023 up until now. Are the strides made that the minister spoke about now sustainable? The energy availability factor is still below 60%. So the answer is no. Because if it was not for the much lower demand in electricity and the 1,100 megawatts procured by Eskom from the private sector, it would have not been a situation where we would have had less load shedding. It is clear that the reduction in load shedding is only temporary. And it is concerned because we saw this in 2008 as well, when there was load shedding, and then just before the elections, strides were made. All of a sudden, there is enough electricity. Is there? Or are you just doing this for an election campaign? And after the 2024 election, we are going to suffer even more, because you did this in 2008 as well. Addressing the electricity shortage should be a sustainable solution through deregulation and enabling a competitive market for generation and distribution. The minister is also correct when he refers to the contribution of failed municipalities to this crisis. But what is the solution? We heard all the plans to address the outstanding debt many years before. The previous deputy president, now current president, announced plans in this house to reduce the outstanding debt. The opposite happened. Now we hear a lot of words, which I don't know if the minister himself understands what he said the plan is, because I don't think anybody do. But none of those words are the actual solution to the problem. What is going to happen with the outstanding debt to Eskom? The people out there are suffering. Go to the people of Ngwate and tell them your plan, whilst they don't even have water because of load reduction. Load reduction that is additional to the scheduled load shedding. The root cause of the problems at Eskom was a lack of accountability and the corruption that was allowed. Policy decisions to sustainably end the electricity crisis is needed, and those policy decisions should be made and based on the realities of our electricity shortage and not on political ideologies. We need accountability and consequences. And I think everybody would agree. And that is why it's important to address, to admit to the origin of the problem, because otherwise we can't sustainably end the energy crisis. And then you have to admit that you were the cause of the problem. I thank you.
Thank you.